Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Franchise, a podcast that goes where others simply won't. An unfiltered view of franchising, business, mindset, and everything that we stand for when it comes to supporting a community of small business owners. Join me, Rhiannon, the CEO for James Home Services, and Justin, one of our owners, as we unpack it all with no topics off limits. Today, that is more true than it has ever been before. No topics off limits. I would be lying to say I wasn't nervous about what we're going to talk about today, Justin. It's probably potentially one of the most controversial topics that we have chosen to discuss yet. And this is what it is. In 2013, the James Home Services franchise network didn't look like what it looks like today. There were an awful lot of franchisees feeling very discouraged and very unsupported in the network. And as a result, a significant number exited very quickly. Now, if you've been doing your homework on James Home Services, and if you've been really deep diving, like, 10 pages deep on Google deep diving, then this will be no surprise to you. And today we're going to talk about it. So, Justin, let's go for a pretty obvious question first. Why now? This was 13 years ago. This is history. We've had multiple different new ownerships since then. You and your business partner have owned now consistently for 6 years. Why are we talking about history now?
I think it's part of our ethos. We're all about transparency, being open. I think it's important that if people have concerns, like, as you know, in my role, I'm talking to people looking every day. And I actually just had a great guy this week who has done so much. He's watched all these episodes, but he hit me with this. And I think the concern for anyone who finds stuff like this is, can it happen again?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to go there and explain exactly from my opinion, what happened, because I was a franchisee. And then look forward to, what did we learn? Having been involved in the company at a grassroots level, what have we learned from there? What's changed and why has it changed, and where is it going? And could it happen again realistically?
Yeah.
So hopefully we get into that sort of stuff today.
That's exactly what I think we should dive into. Yeah, look, every now and then when you take leave, I step in and manage those initial calls and chatting to people who have made an inquiry. And, I've only really, on balance over the last couple of years, done that for a few weeks. And I have had that question. Hey, I've been Googling and I've read some stuff that isn't so great. Like, tell me what happened. I need to know. You guys need to be honest with me. So if I've had that question, I think maybe once or twice in probably done your calls maybe 4 to 5 weeks over the last 3 years, then it's something that people do find and they do think about. So what happened? Acknowledging that at the time you were a franchisee, you weren't part of the leadership team, the decision-making, the ownership of the company. From where you sat at the time, what happened?
Yeah. So I joined James in February 2010. We bought our first franchise. We were a regional franchisee. I've also had a number of cleaning franchises and a carpet cleaning franchise with James over the years. So, I've been very intimately involved. First point I think that's really important to understand, this is ancient history. We're going back a long time. And this is from my opinion, as being in the organisation, being intimately involved at a grassroots level, but like you said, not in the management team at all.
Where is it
going? The owner, the guy that started James Home Services, was called Robert James. And he was my business mentor, my coach, actually, when I was a regional franchisee. And obviously, to go into insolvency, he had some significant financial exposure, loans, etc., was into all sorts of things. But I think more fundamentally, there was this very different focus. From my opinion, I felt that the model was flawed.
Where is it going?
In that the upper level, just financially, I didn't see enough.
Where is it going?
To sustain the sort of support that a business owner deserves, a franchisee deserves, a certain level of support. The model wasn't delivering that to the head office. And I think that over time compounded and created issues where the owner at that point in time, the head office at that point in time, couldn't provide the support that business owners around the country needed. And so there was this underswell of not being happy. And then when the Robert James went into insolvency, those people that weren't happy were able to exercise their right to exit the franchise if they chose.
Okay.
So that's sort of on a bigger scale what happened. In our region, the real fundamental, as a, say, owner of a cleaning business or a lawn and garden business in the James network,
where does it go?
At a grassroots level, didn't impact the business owners as such, because in our region, we continued to support, we continued to market for the services for our franchisees. We didn't lose a single franchisee in our region through all of that, right? Our business continued to grow through that period. And I think that's a really key message. If people continue to focus on their business, delivering a quality service in whatever business you're in, if you've got a regular customer base, those customers are going to stick with you through thick and thin, so long as you're delivering a good service. And, we're not a big enough company to be headline news or anything like that. So the customers who give you the revenue as a business owner,
where does it go?
It's life as normal. And that's what we saw. I'll be honest, it was very stressful for us as a regional franchisee, because all of a sudden, what's going to happen to the network, the structures we put all of our finances into this when we bought our business. So it was an extremely stressful period. And I'll be honest, we ended up being the only regional franchisee left in the company at that point. So it was a very nerve-wracking time. But what happened was a group of us regional franchisors got together. We went out actively and found someone to buy the company, a guy called Mike Dowling. So he was the next owner. He bought in 2015. And he injected a lot of capital into this business and got it back on the right track. And 4 years later, Mike Dowling started talking to me about buying the company, which was not on my radar at all. But with the help, I met Darren Halpin through that process, and we decided to buy the company together. And then COVID hit. You were part of this. Well, Darren had employed you to head up the team to do the due diligence on looking at this James franchise, should we buy it or not? And then COVID hit. So it was a very interesting period to be looking at buying a national business. And then in June of 2020, we took over the company, and we came in, the three of us, yourself, myself, and Darren, with a very clear focus on things that you had identified through the due diligence, you and your team, and also things that I'd carried, lessons, things that I'd seen through that period.
Yeah.
And so
where does it go?
Just turning our gaze now from that to forward, the lessons I think we learn is, if you're happy for me to dive into that part of the discussion.
Yeah, I think just to quickly summarize for anybody listening and sort of trying to piece together, if you're not familiar with corporate structures and how things can happen, just to piece together essentially what we've spoken about is that back in 2013, 13 years ago, the then owner of the network was overextended financially, i.e. Was spending more than they were making, and as a result found themselves insolvent and needing to declare as such. And resultant of that, a number of business owners and a significant number of business owners in the network chose to exit because they weren't feeling supported. They weren't feeling like this was a place that was enabling their business to grow. So that's in a nutshell what happened all those years ago. But I think I do absolutely now want to run straight into 2026. And we have absolutely transformed this whole network, even from what, you bought back in 2020.
Oh, absolutely.
Where is it going?
Why do we now do what we do? How has those lessons of that early 2013 period shaped who we are today?
Where does it go?
Well, I think firstly, for anyone that's watched any of these episodes, I hope we have picked up transparency. We have right from the start been focused on being transparent. We're open. I mean, look what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I know.
Like there is literally, you can't get any more open than that. So we're all about transparency and
Where's
the
it going?
whole business model. The reason I joined James in 2010, I love the business model because when you look at the fee structures and stuff like that, it's a win-win model fundamentally. So if James Home Services is going to do well,
Where is it going?
we have to make sure that our business owners do well. And as a leadership team, that has been our focus from day one is what have we got to do to empower our businesses? You and I were just talking before this that
Where is it going?
I think part of the focus of a lot of franchises is, I've got to sell franchises, because we make a big chunk of money when we sell a franchise. And I actually just this morning got a lady that I was speaking to that's so keen to join us because she's been looking all sorts of different companies. And her words to me was, Justin, everyone just seems interested in getting this chunk of money off me.
Oh, what an astute woman.
Yeah. And this is, the concept of this subscription model that we invented for franchising. One of the things that I love about it is it just so clearly illustrates that, hey,
where is it going?
We only take $1,000 up front and we go and spend something like $15,000 setting you up, right? We're investing into you, which says right from day one, we want to make sure you're successful. So our focus, particularly as most people join us are on a subscription, our focus then is totally on helping make sure our business owners are successful. And that then changes the entire groundswell feeling, I think, of our business owners and our network. I would.
Where is it going? Where is it going?
So that's been our focus from day one. I think the other focus that I have really appreciated is the governance, the corporate governance stuff, the financial. Darren Halpin is an extremely successful businessman in all sorts of different industries. His starting business or foundational business is a large accounting firm. So, Darren, for those of you listening, he's not involved day to day in our business, but man, when we have our leadership meetings, he is really he just has an extremely astute
guidance. Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
It adds so much value at that strategic level, making sure that we're heading in the right direction and we're doing it right. Because if there's one person who has seen everything and seen all the bad things,
yes,
it's him. His level of exposure to different businesses and how to operate them and when it's successful and when it's not and when you get yourself into hot water far surpasses your experience and mine combined, just purely by as a result of what he's spent the last 30 years of his career doing. So he adds so much value, and I think resultant of his guidance, but as well, your appetite through those lessons learned, the boring stuff like risk and governance and making sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and we understand our obligations fully under the franchising code of conduct in Australia. Things like that, just making sure that we genuinely are doing the right things all of the time, and not just for the sake of ticking the box to say we're doing it, but because that has very much become who we are as a company.
Yes.
To, in a sense, I don't know if this is how you feel, but I kind of feel like that history of James, it's very long ago, but I also think it's one of my strongest motivators to get it right now.
Yes.
It just drives me so hard. I don't want to ever have a Google search history that talks about, under my leadership as CEO, that was the kind of thing happening. It's such a strong motivator for me.
Absolutely. Yep. One of the other things we've done that we don't have to discuss, but I think it's important to put out there is, yes, we have totally changed everything in this company. We have invested, just our computer system alone, it's the Salesforce thing. We have spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on that over the last few years. None of that was from borrowings. We have used cash flow, any projects, and you have been so not tight, that's probably the wrong word, but just very wise. And
I've been strict on you.
Yes, you have. I want to go off and do all these great
strict
things.
On our budget.
This and I want that. But you go, no, this is everything we have done on these projects has come from cash flow. So, we're not going and borrowing big chunks of money and we don't have these massive debt loads and, people, all that gearing that they talk about. As a company, we don't have that. We are very, very.
Where is it going? Where is it going?
Very well managed, and the governance on finance is great. So, the question I get asked is, could it happen again? Well, look,
where is it going?
Anyone can go broke. Personally, anybody listening to this, you could go broke, right?
Where is it going?
So what do you do to minimise that? Well, first, you don't go and borrow heaps of money. Second, you make wise decisions, right? And you minimise risk. And that's what we've been doing because we've observed this. Lived and walked that. I had sleepless nights in 2012 and 13 as we were going through this. Like you, I never want to be going through that myself. And then the positive note is because of the subscription model, I mean, we've just had our strongest 6 months in history since we've owned it. Like the company is going fantastic. We just have so many success stories. I just recorded an episode of the Meet the Team, where each week we're meeting different franchisees. And yesterday I did Danny. So that'll be posted. If you listen to this, that'll be posted alongside this. Danny's been with us.
Watch.
Yeah, he's been with us 1 week. He just finished his first week. So I thought, what a great time to interview somebody. And that's what gets you and I up every morning on, is seeing people, families, get that work-life balance, be able to really do well. And have their own business.
Yep. We are growing and we are growing really strongly. We have just had the strongest 6 months of new business owners coming on board that we've seen. And at the same time, what's equally important to both of us is that the pace of growth of those new businesses is faster than it's ever been before. And our existing businesses, so over 12 months and older, even 6 months and older, are turning over more revenue. Like double on average. Our businesses are turning over double the amount of revenue that they were back in 2020 when you and Darren bought. So, there are 3 key metrics for me in terms of growth. And I think that be wary of a franchise network that does feel like the only important growth to them is new businesses. Yeah. Because most franchise networks, they are, making a sort of a chunk of money on the way in. It's a significant makeup of their profit. And the risk is that then they don't care about the pace at which you start and the overall turnover potential in those businesses. My 3 growth metrics are new businesses, of course, but also pace of growth for those new businesses in the first 12 weeks. We want every business in our network to be at their specific personalized break-even point by the end of 12 weeks. And I also want to be measuring and seeing that our existing businesses are growing year on year in terms of their turnover as well. All of those things are currently happening for us, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And all of which is happening within our own cash flow. And the way that we can do that within our own cash flow is that our owners have not drawn a cent out of this business to date.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think that I don't think that you would feel, that I've stepped out of line in saying that. I know that you didn't say that before, but I think that is equally important to note is that to date, 6 years and a few weeks, our owners have not drawn anything out of this business, and we have piled it all straight back into making sure that our support is there, making sure that we're marketing really strongly to grow our network as well as for our business owners so that they can grow their businesses. There's a million things we do with that money, but it isn't going out of the network. It's staying right here so that we can continue to build a really strong foundation for our network.
Yep, so true. Yes, I must admit, one of the franchisees jokingly with me the other day on the phone said, "Oh, you must be just rolling in it now, Justin." And I was like, and I said, "I haven't taken a cent out of this,
Yeah.
So no, but it's just so good to see the growth. We just started our first re-entry back into South Australia, and I've got people in Perth that I'm talking to, and yeah, we're growing. We're in a very healthy. So if you're watching this and it's got your attention because, oh no, I saw that on the internet, they were insolvent. Yeah, that's ancient history.
Yeah, we were, and we learned they were. Not
they were. Yes.
They were. Not you and I.
No,
they were,
no.
But we are what we are today because of the lessons.
Yes, correct.
That were afforded to us out of that period of history in the network.
Yep.
Perfect. I think we wrap this episode right there. If you do have concerns, please just reach out to us. I mean, we have now talked about this topic on a very public platform. And so I hope you also feel that it will be exactly the same in a one-on-one conversation. We are happy to answer any questions that you have about what happened, about our current business model, about how we're working really hard to make sure we don't ever end up in that situation that those previous owners did. We are so open, probably more open than any other network on this kind of stuff. So please reach out if you have questions. So let's wrap here. And I hope that you will join us very soon for another episode of The Real Franchise.